She disappeared from her own home, and for many people, that single fact was enough to make the case unforgettable. An 84-year-old woman, living a structured life, dependent on routine, known to family, connected to community. Not someone expected to suddenly abandon everything. Yet Nancy Guthrie vanished during the night, and months later, the case still carried more questions than answers. No complete explanation, no public resolution, no ending that made the story feel settled. Only a growing sense that something serious happened, inside a very small window of time. When elderly people go missing, investigators think differently than they do in many other disappearances. They think about medication schedules, mobility limitations, medical devices, memory concerns, environmental risk, heat, cold, falls, disorientation, response time. They know every hour can matter more than usual because older adults can become vulnerable quickly. That urgency shaped Nancy's case from the start. Nancy lived in the Catalina foothills area near Tucson, Arizona, a place many would consider calm, established, and relatively secure. Neighborhood life, residential patterns, familiar roads, the kind of environment where people assume danger is less likely. But crime and tragedy often violate expectation. And when they happen in places associated with comfort, they feel more disturbing. People who knew Nancy described a woman who remained mentally sharp and engaged. That matters because public perception often changes, depending on the condition of the missing person. If someone is known to wander or suffer severe confusion, one set of theories emerges. If someone is mentally alert and living normally, another set appears. Nancy's reported independence made many observers doubt the idea that she simply drifted away unnoticed. The last known normal phase of the case reportedly began the evening before she disappeared. Nancy went to spend time with family, dinner, conversation, ordinary connection, the type of evening that leaves no sign it will later become evidence. Later that night, she was reportedly taken home by family. She entered the house. The garage door closed. Lights and systems appeared normal. No one publicly described visible distress. No emergency call. No known argument. No obvious reason to fear what was coming next. That is one reason cases like this disturb people deeply. There is no cinematic warning, no dramatic buildup, no thunderstorm, no scream heard by neighbors, no last message saying something was wrong, just normal life, followed by disappearance. And that kind of transition is psychologically difficult for people to accept. We prefer warning signs. We want danger to announce itself. Often it does not. As investigators reconstructed the timeline, attention focused on the overnight hours, the period when streets are quiet, witnesses are few, memory is weakest, and digital systems may become the only reliable observers. Doorbells, security cameras, motion sensors, Wi-Fi logs, cell data, medical device transmissions, garage records. Modern homes often create silent, evidence trails people barely notice until crisis begins. One of the most discussed reported details in the case was the doorbell camera disruption. Authorities said the camera went offline during the night. That matters because timing matters. A camera failing randomly on any ordinary day may mean little. A camera failing the same night an elderly resident disappears means much more. Investigators must ask, was it power loss, network failure, device malfunction, human tampering, intentional concealment, accidental unplugging? Every possibility leads somewhere different. Then reports emerged that images or back-end captures showed a masked figure near the home, someone wearing gloves, carrying a backpack near the front area, potentially interfering with the camera. If accurate, this transforms the narrative. Because now the story is no longer simply about whether Nancy left. It becomes about whether someone came. That distinction is enormous. Missing persons cases often begin with the question, did the person choose movement? But if another person is present during the critical window, the question changes to, what role did that person play? Was it a burglar who did not know the house was occupied by an elderly woman? Was it someone scouting property? Was it someone specifically targeting Nancy? Was it someone known to her? Was it unrelated but badly timed? Investigators must test all possibilities, not only the dramatic ones. The public often locks onto the most sinister explanation quickly. Real investigators cannot afford that luxury. They must consider boring explanations too. Sometimes the boring explanation is correct. Sometimes the terrifying one is. Good investigations resist emotion. Another key reported timestamp involved Nancy's bedside pacemaker monitor. Such devices can transmit scheduled data. When transmissions are missed or disrupted, that may reflect power issues, movement, unplugging, or absence from expected conditions. Authorities reportedly noted a missed scheduled transmission during the same overnight window. Again, no single device proves a crime, but multiple disruptions in one narrow period create a pattern investigators cannot ignore. Patterns are central to modern investigations. One unusual event may be coincidence. Two may still be chance. Three aligned anomalies in the same time frame demand explanation. Camera offline, medical device anomaly, resident missing. That combination naturally intensified suspicion. The next morning, concern reportedly grew when Nancy did not appear for expected activities and was unreachable. This is another important aspect of elderly cases. Routine itself becomes the alarm system. When someone always attends church service, answers calls, or checks in, absence is louder than silence. Family reportedly went to the home. Nancy was not there. The car remained. Important belongings were still present. Inside the house, ordinary life appeared interrupted rather than concluded. That detail matters psychologically and investigatively. People leaving voluntarily often take items. People suddenly separated from home often do not. Police then treated the property as a crime scene. That is a serious decision. It suggests investigators observed enough suspicious indicators to move beyond a standard welfare check. Crime scene processing can include photography, biological collection, trace evidence recovery, latent prints, footwear impressions, digital device seizure, and environmental documentation. Everything from dust to fibers can matter. Then came one of the most emotionally powerful details: blood evidence reportedly linked to Nancy. Blood changes how the public views a case. Without blood, many still imagine rescue. With blood, people fear violence. But forensic reality is more nuanced. Blood amount matters. Location matters. Pattern matters. Age matters. Transfer matters. Context matters. A tiny spot and a pooled stain tell different stories. Yet once the word blood enters headlines, public imagination accelerates immediately. That creates pressure on investigators. People expect instant arrests, but blood evidence often requires slow interpretation. Whose blood? How deposited? When? From injury or routine medical event? Mixed with other DNA? Contaminated? Associated with movement? Cases are lost in court when rushed assumptions replace tested facts. The FBI joined the investigation, reportedly bringing additional resources. Federal involvement can assist with forensic processing, behavioral analysis, technical support, digital evidence review, interstate coordination, and media management. When cases become nationally visible, coordination itself becomes a full-time challenge. Tips flood in. False leads multiply. Every call must be assessed. And false leads are common. People misremember dates, confuse faces, report rumors as facts, insert themselves into cases for attention, claim knowledge they do not possess. Even well-meaning tips can consume valuable hours. Then another bizarre element entered public discussion: ransom-style messages reportedly sent to media organizations. Demands for cryptocurrency. Claims tied to Nancy. Threatening tone. Deadlines. These messages raised immediate possibilities. Real abductors seeking money. Scammers exploiting headlines. Trolls seeking chaos. Someone intentionally muddying the waters. Copycats. Each scenario carries different implications. Historically, opportunists often appear around famous disappearances. They send fake sightings, false confessions, bogus ransom demands, invented evidence. Why? Money. Attention. Psychological gratification. A desire to feel central to national drama. That means investigators must waste time separating signal from noise. Families suffer doubly from this. Every false message can reopen hope. Every fake lead can restart panic. Every hoax is cruelty disguised as information. Nancy's children publicly asked for proof of life and communication. That phrase reveals the emotional reality of unresolved cases. When a loved one is missing, certainty itself becomes precious. Even terrible certainty can feel kinder than endless uncertainty. Disappearance creates a unique kind of grief. No funeral, no body, no final timeline, no confirmed suffering, no confirmed safety. The mind oscillates between hope and dread. Families often describe it as emotional imprisonment. Public audiences, meanwhile, experience the case differently. For them, it is mystery. For family, it is repetition. Same questions from reporters. Same rumors online. Same objects in the house unchanged. Same empty chair. Same phone number no one answers. That contrast is rarely understood. As the case developed, many people focused on the masked figure. This is natural. Humans prefer visible suspects. A person in an image feels tangible. But investigators know caution is needed. A suspicious figure may be central. or peripheral, or unrelated. Sometimes the most obvious clue is real. Sometimes it is a distraction. Body language analysis exploded online. How the person walked, how tall they seemed, which shoulder carried the bag. Left or right-handed movement, confidence near the property, possible age, possible gender, possible familiarity. Internet communities often treat such observations as science. Usually they are guesswork. Still, sometimes recognition comes from exactly that kind of detail. A gate known to a relative, a jacket known to a coworker, a bag sold locally. Authorities reportedly released descriptive information about the person and items. This usually indicates they believe public identification is possible. Police do not always reveal useful footage unless they think someone may recognize it. The house itself also became central. Home layout can matter immensely. Entry points, visibility from neighbors, lighting, camera placement, distance from street, garage access, interior routes. If another person acted there, familiarity could matter. Someone who knows where cameras are mounted behaves differently than someone who does not. That leads to one of the enduring questions. Was the event opportunistic or informed? An opportunistic intruder might make mistakes, improvise and leave chaotic signs. An informed actor might choose timing, approach routes, and concealment more carefully. Investigators often compare scene evidence to these behavioral models. Yet another possibility always exists. A scene that looks criminal because the timeline is incomplete. This is why professionals avoid overconfidence early. When facts are partial, stories become dangerous. Search efforts reportedly extended beyond the house. Nearby terrain, drainage zones, road shoulders, vacant land, structures, tip locations, vehicles of interest, digital geofencing possibilities. In elderly cases, search radius decisions can be difficult. At one point, a person was reportedly detained and later released. Public audiences often misunderstand such events. Detention can mean many things: clarification, safety hold, questioning, lead exhaustion. Temporary probable cause later weakened. It does not equal guilt. Many investigations involve people who appear significant publicly but fade privately. The reverse also happens. Someone ignored by media becomes central later. Another reported detail involved gloves recovered during investigative activity. Gloves often trigger strong reactions because they imply concealment. But gloves are common objects. DNA on gloves can belong to unrelated users, owners, manufacturers, or handlers. Evidence that seems explosive in headlines can become mundane under laboratory scrutiny. This is why internet certainty often collapses. Real evidence is messy. Context rules everything. DNA testing remains one of the most important long-term avenues in cases like this. Touch DNA, hair shafts, roots, mixed profiles, partial profiles, transfer interpretation, advanced probabilistic matching. As technology improves, previously weak samples can become stronger leads. Cold cases around the world have turned on samples once considered useless. People often ask why police wait. Because premature arrest can destroy a case. If prosecutors charge without enough evidence and lose, future prosecution may become harder. Investigators therefore balance public pressure against legal durability. That patience looks like inaction to outsiders. Sometimes it is discipline. Another subtle tool in investigations is statement comparison over time. Initial interviews, follow-up interviews, recollections months later, language shifts, added details, removed details, emotional changes. Contradictions are not always lies. Trauma and memory distort naturally, but strategic contradictions can reveal deception. Guilty people often plan acts better than stories. Actions happen once. Stories must survive repeated retelling. That is why detectives ask familiar questions again and again. Nancy's age also influenced public empathy. This was not a case easily framed as voluntary disappearance for adventure, secrecy, or reinvention. An elderly woman with needs and routines triggers a universal protective instinct. People imagine parents, grandparents, neighbors. That emotional mirror keeps attention alive. There is another reason the case resonated. It attacked the idea of home as sanctuary. We assume locks, walls, and familiarity protect older adults. When someone disappears from within that space, society feels exposed. If home is not safe, what is? Online communities produced endless theories. Stranger abduction, targeted extortion, known person exploiting trust, burglary gone wrong, staged evidence, medical crisis concealed after panic, family conspiracy, random predator. Each theory gained believers because uncertainty leaves room for all of them. The most repeated theory is not automatically the strongest. This is one of the biggest mistakes in modern true crime culture. Repetition feels like proof. It is not. Public attention can help cases. Witnesses come forward. Businesses recheck cameras. Neighbors remember sounds. Old disputes resurface. Someone guilty feels pressure. But attention can also harm. False accusations spread. Families are harassed. Innocent odd behavior becomes sinister online. Complex evidence gets simplified into entertainment. As months pass, investigators may know much more than they reveal. They may have narrowed scenarios. They may suspect a person, but lack corroboration. They may be waiting on lab work. They may be using silence strategically, or they may still be genuinely uncertain. The public usually cannot distinguish these states. Sometimes silence means stagnation. Sometimes silence means movement behind closed doors. One reason unresolved cases remain powerful is that humans hate incomplete endings. We want narratives, beginning, conflict, resolution. Disappearances often deny the final act. No rescue, no conviction, no explanation, only suspended meaning. This is why people revisit old details repeatedly. The garage door closing, the overnight timestamps, the masked figure, the blood evidence, the items left behind, the ransom messages. Each fact feels like it should unlock the whole puzzle, yet none alone does. That creates obsession, because when several clues feel important but fail to resolve the case, the mind assumes one hidden clue remains. And often it does. A forgotten backup file, a misdated receipt, an overlooked witness, a vehicle seen twice, a DNA mixture newly interpretable, a relationship change causing someone to talk. Many famous cases broke years later through facts once considered minor. Time can also pressure guilty people. Secrets are heavy, relationships change, fear fades, alliances break, conscience ages badly. People who once stayed silent sometimes speak when life circumstances shift. If Nancy's case is ever solved, many observers will say the clues were obvious. That is hindsight bias. Before truth arrives, clues compete. After truth arrives, they align. It is also possible the final truth is less dramatic than public imagination expects. Many notorious mysteries end with mundane cruelty, panic, or accident rather than genius plotting. Reality often disappoints drama, but mundane truth would not lessen the loss. Nancy Guthrie was not a symbol first. She was a person first, a mother, a relative, a neighbor, a woman with decades of history before headlines reduced her life to a case. That matters. Because true crime audiences sometimes remember puzzles more than people. The ethical center should remain the missing person, not the entertainment value of uncertainty. If the truth is criminal, someone likely knows it directly. If the truth is accidental, someone may know enough to suspect it. If the truth lives in evidence, science may expose it later. If the truth depends on memory, one witness may still hold the key. And if none of those paths emerge soon, the case may slowly transition into another category. Cold, but not forgotten. Cold cases are not dead cases. They are paused cases. Stored evidence waits. Technology advances. New detectives review assumptions. Fresh eyes challenge old narratives. Patterns invisible to one generation become clear to the next. For now, Nancy Guthrie's disappearance remains compelling for simple reasons. A vulnerable victim, a private setting, a suspicious timeline, visible clues, no resolution. Those ingredients create mysteries the human mind refuses to release. People keep asking, did someone come to the house with intent? Did trust open the door? Did a smaller event spiral into something hidden? Did investigators already identify the truth privately, but lack final proof? Did one overlooked detail delay everything? Until one answer defeats the others, all remain alive. That is the burden of unresolved disappearance. Multiple realities coexist. Family imagines rescue, others fear homicide. Some believe concealment, some believe accident. No version can fully win without evidence. And somewhere, perhaps in one lab file, one archived device log, one conscience, or one memory long suppressed, there may still be a fact capable of ending the uncertainty. Hope that something knowable still survives in the evidence. Hope often outlasts logic, especially when the alternative is silence. Nancy Guthrie vanished from the place she should have been safest. That alone explains why people still care. Because if a person can disappear from ordinary life so completely, then ordinary life itself feels less certain. And that feeling stays with people long after headlines fade.